My name is Kevin McGuirk, and I've been teaching here in the English department since 1996. I was chair of the department from 2004 to 2008, and the things I work on are mostly American literature. It's kind of a broad topic, but mostly kind of post-Second World War American literature, and my area of expertise, so-called, is American poetry of that period. And what I'm currently finishing, in fact hope to finish this weekend, is this pretty big editorial project on this poet, Ammons. Archie Ammons is his name, who was born in the 20s and part of an interesting generation of writers who kind of came to maturity in the 1960s. So the 60s were a very important decade for a lot of his contemporaries, and for him in an oblique kind of way. And I'd written essays about him before, and I kind of fell into this project that's kind of turned into a big project that's taken on and off quite a few years to do. So I'm right at the end of it this weekend, and I'm just spending time going to the library, tracking down little details about people he mentions or things he mentions in the letters and journals. So that's what it is. It's an edition, a fairly big one, of letters and journals from the early 50s to the mid-70s, which is about the first half of his career. And it's going to be published later this year. Who is A.R. Ammons? Well, I mentioned that he's born in the 20s. He grew up, one of the interesting things about his life is that he grew up in rural North Carolina during the Depression on a subsistence farm. So he came from a way of life that was basically unchanged since the 19th century or earlier, and he ended up, partly because of his service in the Second World War right at the end, going to university on the GI Bill and studying science, but with a minor in English, and then becoming very interested in writing and kind of making his way very slowly to a career as a poet and as a professor at Cornell University. This editorial project has been the major preoccupation, and over the last year it's kind of come to a head once I've had kind of a plan with a publisher to get it done. So it's been pretty intensive work, of some of a kind of laborious kind, reviewing manuscript over and over, making editorial decisions, looking for typos, doing a lot of kind of detective work, tracking down references in a letter to something someone wrote in 1968. And some of that's tedious, some of it's very fun and satisfying when you actually get answers and solve little problems. But at the end, what will be produced will be a book of about, it'll probably be 300 or 400 pages. That is a kind of, that it's really, the emphasis of this one, partly because he was a retiring sort of person, and his family is too, and they're not really ready to have a full-on biographical treatment of him, and the emphasis of this is mostly on poetry, literary friendships, and really kind of the development of his thinking from a young man, sorting out what he's going to do with his life in his mid-20s, to someone who in the mid-70s had come to seem like quite an important writer.